Alright, so I just bought this Sears SS16. I've never had one of these before. This thing has a big 2-cylinder Onan. I know nothing about Onan. I've never messed around with them before. This one specifically, I have no idea if it has compression or spark. The guy I bought it from said it just needed carb work and that was it, so we'll see about that. Alright, jump forward about a week, and off camera I've been working on the Sears. As you can see, I removed the Onan so I could work on that up on my bench, and then just for fun I threw a little 8-horse Predator on there just to see if it would line up and if the hood would shut and everything. It's not bolted down, but I might kind of hook it up for now as a temporary power plant while I work on the Onan. And then I also removed and cleaned the fuel tank, and I'm in the process of modifying a good seat to put back on there since the old seat was terrible. I had one tire go flat on me, so the guy must have aired it up before I picked it up. I just threw a good extra set of rear tires on there so I don't have to deal with that. Speaking of the Onan, got the Onan up here on my bench. So basically what I do is when the engine is on there where I want it, I just take a Sharpie and basically make an outline of the bottom of the engine, and then I just circle in where the holes are. In this instance, I only have to drill 2 holes, 2 in the front here, and the back holes are actually over this void right here. And so down there I'm just going to end up using some tabs that are going to hold the back of the engine down onto the frame here. So go grab my drill, 2 holes, stick this thing back on there, and all I have to do after that is get a different belt, So I finally got this thing back in my shop. I ran out of time last fall kind of working on this thing, so off camera I did a few things to kind of get it running and driving, and then I put it in storage, and as you saw I just pulled it out, and this is the first time I've really had a chance to look at this thing without being in a rush. Where I kind of left off, I had worked on the Onan for hours and had a ton of footage, and the Onan had some problems with it. I needed parts and it needed time put into it. So I ended up selling the Onan, but the Onan, I sold that for more than I paid for the entire unit. So I'm kind of operating on no cost right now. I already had this 8-horse Predator. I had used this engine on my Bolins and my Simplicity. Those two tractors are gone, but I still had the engine laying around. So basically dropped this engine in there. I moved it around where I needed it to be. I had to make sure that the hood would still open and shut, and that the hood and the grill wasn't hitting on any part of this engine, including the backside here, just making sure there's room around the whole engine. And then of course I had to line it up in such a way that the drive belt and the pulley would be lined up with the tensioner all the way back to the transmission, so, or to the transaxle I guess. But once I kind of got it to a place I liked it, I just took a Sharpie and did an outline around the front of the engine, made a few dots where the bolts go, and then I removed the engine, drilled the holes, and this engine dropped right on there, and I put 2 bolts in the front. And then in the back here, the back of the engine, probably 1/4 of an inch or 3/8 of an inch, it's actually sticking out over this open space right here. So I kind of made this little homemade tab type thing, and it's really tight, and it does a really good job holding this engine down. So all in all, it was probably, I'm not even joking, probably a 10 or 15 minute engine swap. And this 8-horse runs amazing, so it's a good engine to have on there. I had kind of changed the wiring up a few times for the Simplicity and the Bolins, basically just kind of reused it. I got a switch in there with the little set screw. I know that's really shoddy work, but it's kind of a temporary thing right now. I just wanted this thing to start up and drive, and then for, you know, safety reasons, I wanted to kill switch up by the steering wheel, so if I had an issue I could kill it from up here. And I did hook up the throttle here using the original throttle cable that was on this machine. It's pull start only, and in the future here I'm thinking about maybe putting a hydraulic actuator on this, as well as, well, the lights work, I know that, but I always use kind of the brighter LEDs or whatever you call them. But if I want to have anything that runs on 12-volt battery power, this engine here doesn't have a starter on it, so I'm assuming it doesn't really have all the charging components. Not really sure, I could check into it. But either way, if I run anything electric on this machine, I don't know how long the power out of the battery would last before I started having issues. So that's kind of a later thing. But what else? And going along with the engine too, I had to buy like 4 different belts, and obviously the output shaft on this engine is probably not in the same spot as the output shaft that was on the Onan, so, and that was to be expected. So I got 4 different size belts. I used the original belt this machine had, and I stuck it on this engine. Can't remember if it was too tight or too loose, but either way I went off of the belt that came with this machine to kind of guesstimate what size belt I needed. So I ended up getting 4 belts. If I remember right, I think that the 5/8 by 79 or 78 inch was the one that works perfect for this machine and for this setup. And I'm telling you, this thing has the smoothest transaxle I think I've ever had on a Sears. It is buttery smooth. It doesn't grind the gears at all. When you depress the clutch, it completely disengages this belt on this engine. It does exactly what it should. And the funny thing is I don't even have a guard or anything up here around this pulley to kind of keep this belt from coming off. and it hasn't come off yet, but I would think after using it for a while this belt could slip off of there, which is a problem I've had in the past. And usually what I did is I would kind of make a homemade belt guide that would go on the engine here, and it would prevent this belt from popping off when you're using it. But that'll be a later thing if I have issues with it. But in the past, especially doing engine swaps on, say, like the Sears 10XLs, for 15 years I had always used a 1/2 inch by 72 inch Kevlar belt, and it's always worked for me. And so this belt's a little bit bigger, and this time I decided to go with a 5/8 because every time I have a video that has a 1/2 inch drive belt in it, everybody freaks out. Not sure why. I know that, you know, you're supposed to have a 5/8, but 1/2 inch has always worked for me. And, you know, it's kind of a personal preference thing, but this time I went with the 5/8. Obviously, if you use these things really hard, you're going to want a bigger belt, but I'm pretty much only using this machine to pull my trailer around and maybe a few other things that I haven't decided on yet. But anyway, so the engine's good for now. And like I said, it shifts really well. I put the seat from the Simplicity on this machine because it had the Simplicity Sovereign had a nice seat. So I took that off of the Simplicity before I parted it out, and kind of, I didn't film any of it, but I had to weld this plate to the bottom of the seat to kind of custom make a mount for it so it would work on this spring back here. Wanted to use the seat I already had so I didn't have to spend any more money. And then the whole reason I bought this machine, and I probably didn't explain it earlier, but I needed a heavy duty garden tractor to pull my my tiny hydraulic dump trailer around. It's kind of a prototype thing, and basically my case 646 and my case 220, I will be loading my little trailer with my case 646, so I obviously can't pull my dump trailer behind that. And then my case 220 has the kind of hitch in the back where if you lift or lower the snowplow, it lifts the hitch in the back, and I didn't like that. I wanted to have a ball that was permanent at a certain height. And so where this ball is on the back here is the perfect height to pull my my little hydraulic dump trailer. So this whole machine here is basically tailor-made to pull that hydraulic dump trailer. And kind of going along with the saving money being cheap thing that I'm doing here, I literally used crappy old steel that I had laying around and I made this hitch back here in probably less than an hour. And it's ugly and it's pitted, has rust pits in it and everything. And it's already got surface rust on it from, you know, humidity and whatnot. I never did paint it, but I bolted that in. I cut this really small ball that I used to use on my four-wheeler, welded that on there, and then I welded a few supports. So the side to side and the up and down is very strong. This is an incredibly strong ball. It's more than strong enough for my hydraulic dump trailer. And then I ended up selling the 3-point because I'm not going to use that. I don't need a manual 3-point when I have machines that have hydraulic 3-points on them. So I got rid of that. I took the nice black rear wheels off of my Bolins before I parted that out. And these are nice Carlisle tires made in the USA. Nice black rims. I like black rims. So I threw those on the back here, and they haven't lost any air at all this winter. This thing basically sat outside for at least 2 months, give or take. But I just kind of wanted to show this thing. Sorry I didn't get any good footage on this, but in the future here I have some things I'm going to be doing to it, and I'll definitely make videos of that. I would like to paint it, kind of make it look nicer, maybe do some electric related stuff. I do have the snowplow that I used both on the Simplicity and the Bolins. I still have that snowplow, and so I was thinking about coming up with a hydraulic downforce blade on the front of this machine that would run off of a 12-volt actuator. In fact, the same actuator that's on my small dump trailer. And I really don't even know what I did with that thing. Oh, yeah, it's right here. This is a 12-volt hydraulic actuator. I took this off of my mini dump trailer before I stored it for winter. No reason for this to be out in the elements all winter long, so I took it off and threw it in my toolbox here. But I'm gonna throw this back on my little dump trailer in the spring, and then I'd also like to buy another one of these and use one of these to lift and lower a blade on the front of that Sears SS16. So since I already have one, I know that these things are awesome. They move plenty fast if you have a good battery. They have great power, very simple design, but that'll be a future thing. And then I do have a couple sets of tires here. I got these super skinny ones that came off of, I can't remember what machine those came off of at all. I really have no idea. I got 3 sets of front tires that all have rims in them, and they all have the standard hole diameter that pretty much every garden tractor has on the front. So I got these wide ones here with the grooves in there that makes it a little bit easier to turn when you need traction turning. And I got a super skinny pair up there that came off my Boland's, and then this is the front set that came off of the Simplicity Sovereign. Great chains on these wheels here. I think one of these loses air. And then I got this set right here. These are the tires that came off of the Simplicity Sovereign, and these are the chains that came with my John Deere 317 when I bought that. I have a video about that well over a year ago on my channel, but threw those chains on there, tightened them down the best I could, and if need be, I can always take these set of wheels off, throw those on there, and then if I had a blade on this thing, could probably move a good amount of dirt and snow and whatnot with it, but that's a future thing. Anyway, I'll have more videos on this thing in the future. Just wanted to kind of show that. Let me know if you have any questions or comments, and like always, if you haven't already, please subscribe, and thanks for watching.